So today we are talking about 4 more commonly Googled questions. We did it last week. Sorry, I look a little tired. I am. I didn't get that much sleep last night. I'm going to try to keep my glasses off so you guys don't get the glare in the camera. But I am going to have to use it for my computer because I'm going to be accessing my questions. So come along and we're going to talk about it. Hi, my name is Amanda from Learning to Love Well, and this is a channel all about homeschool from a biblical perspective. And we talk about the practical studies, research, we talk about learning styles, we talk about anything that is basically homeschool related. I'm sorry that this video is coming out a little bit late, but we had some things happen, such as life. Things come up, have to push things to the right. So that's what I did. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. First question. How much time commitment is involved? This question is going to be very subjective to how much time you have to homeschool. If you are a family that has 1 kid, this might look like 2 hours a day homeschooling. If it's a kindergarten kid, it could look like 30 minutes a day homeschooling. There was a quote that I came across. By the way, anything that I am referencing as far as statistics or anything else will be in the description bio underneath so that you can actually go check out this research for yourself and make your own conclusions. So there is a quote from Duval studies, and like I said, I'm going to post the link underneath. And it says that in as little as 2 hours, homeschoolers can engage in the same amount of strategic learning behavior as public school students experience in an entire school day. A lot of times we as homeschoolers, especially if you came up in the public school, will feel like homeschooling 2 or 3 hours a day is somehow not giving the full course load that you want your kids to have. But it's just not true. The ratio of a homeschool parent to a 16-to-1 ratio in the public school system allows for a lot of one-on-one learning. We can go through an entire page of one of my children's pre-algebra homework pretty quickly if I sit down and work with them. Same thing goes with my other kids for their other studies. As long as we are sitting there and we're going through it together, we can knock out a lot of subjects in a very, very quick amount of time. So our household, depending on the day, depending on if we have any activities that we're doing, depending on how quick we get the power hour going and everything else like that, sometimes our homeschooling is 4 hours. Sometimes it goes to 5, depending on how much extra books we have for that day. But honestly, we don't have to homeschool from 8 to 3 or anything else because there's only 4 kids to 1 mama. By the way, if you hear the wind outside, I apologize. Can't do anything about the noise. It is trying to blow all the metal beds that I own. So, okay. So, question 2, take 3, is homeschooling the right fit for your child's learning style and needs? So one of the most beautiful things about homeschool is homeschool really can be tailored to your needs. Most people think of public school where if you have a special need, you get a special plan, a special care plan, but really homeschool is about tailoring the needs of your homeschool around your children. So for example, if you have a child who struggles in math, you can take math slower. You can add in manipulatives. You can integrate YouTube videos. You can put them on Khan Academy. You can use as many reinforcements as you need for them to get the concept, or you can try a different learning style. If they struggle with reading, you can put them on Hooked on Phonics. You can put them on any kind of educational game. You can get them, if they have dyslexia, you can get them special book. Just any kind of learning disability or learning hindrance, not really a disability because it doesn't prevent them from learning. They just have to get there a different way. You can tailor your entire curriculum to be able to fit and work on the needs that your child specifically has. So, Question 3. What about potential academic gaps compared to traditional schooling? So for this question, I'm actually going to leave my glasses on because I have a boatload of statistics. Again, anything that I talk about today, I am going to actually put down in the bio. I'm going to give you a link to all of this information. Some of them I found on the HSLDA homeschool page. The other one that I found as a National Institute for Homeschool. But they're backed with studies, and I did not memorize them. I didn't even try to memorize them. So I'm just going to read them to you, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. The home educated typically score 15 to 25% points above public school students on standardized academic achievement tests. And this is Ray 2010, 2015, and 2017, and Ray and Hansel 2024. The public school average is roughly in the 50th percentile. Scores range from 1 to 99. 78% of peer-reviewed studies on academic achievement showed homeschool students performed statistically significantly better than those in institutional schools. And that's from Ray 2017. Okay, so Ray 2013 and 2010 also showed that no matter the parent's level of formal education or the household income did not change the achievement tests regardless of their parents. So they were still scoring higher even if their parents only had a high school degree. So for a lot of people, that's normally the big thing for them. They're like, hey, look, I only have a high school education, or I only have like 1 year in college. And so they're like, I'm not qualified. And the statistics seem to show that even with homeschool, even with just a high school diploma, those that are home educated actually still score better on test scores than those that go to public school. Whether homeschool parent were ever certified teachers or not didn't relate to whether they were better off or not. Degree of state control and regulation in homeschooling is not related to the academic achievement. Home educated students typically scored above average on the SAT and the ACT tests that colleges consider for admissions. And homeschool students are increasingly being actively recruited by colleges. And I'm actually going to put a link to this in the bio underneath so you can go look at this by yourself. Basically, what we're looking at is when you are worried about potential academic gaps, this is taking the test results that both public and homeschool students are having to take. And if the homeschool students are scoring significantly higher, regardless of education, of parents, household income, ethnicity, it's not even changing the game, or any other factor out there. Like some people like to say, well, I'm not that smart. I only have this, this, and this. It shows that home educated students are still doing significantly better. So are there gaps in the learning? Well, statistically, it looks like no. In fact, it seems like statistically they're doing better than those of their public school peers. So if you're still worried about gaps too, realize that every curriculum is going to have gaps, but you have the ability to supplement. So if I have a curriculum that I don't think they get enough creative writing prompts, if I don't think that they're not getting enough of something, I can always supplement. I can always add. There's websites like Teachers Paid Teachers. There are all kinds of other supplemental material. Like we, for grammar, supplement our Rebecca curriculums and our Horizon with master books, language lessons for living education, because it has things that the other curriculums don't, such as oral narration, art studies, word studies, psalm studies, things that they just don't have in the other curriculums. And so because of that, I like to supplement with master books. Question. Oh, and a bonus. On this website, it also talks about emotionally the advantages to homeschool versus public school. And I'm going to go through it really quick because a lot of times people are like, okay, well, Yes, maybe academically they're above, but what about socially? And so I'm going to run through that really quick for you as well. So, research facts on homeschooling show that the home educated are doing well, typically above average on measures of social, emotional, and psychological development. Research measures include peer interaction, self-concept, leadership skills, family cohesion, participation in community service, and self-esteem. Ray 2017 said 87% of peer-reviewed studies on social, emotional, and psychological development show homeschool students perform statistically significantly better than those in conventional schools. So 87% is a huge difference in social, emotional, and psychological development. That's pretty crazy. It also says that homeschool students are regularly engaged in social and educational activities outside their home with people other than their nuclear family, which is Hamlin 2019. They're commonly involved in activities such as field trips, scouting, 4-H, political drives, church ministry, sports teams, and community volunteer work. The balance of research to date suggests that homeschool students may suffer less harm from abuse, neglect, fatalities than conventional school students, and adults who are home educated are more politically tolerant than public school in limited research done so far. So the well-rounded research seems to conclude that being with your nuclear family, learning alongside your parents, having the curriculum done at home not only benefits the child academically, but also socially, emotionally, and psychologically. I think this seems like a big shock factor to a lot of people because of the fact that we have been taught and we have heard about homeschoolers we hear a lot about the socially awkward homeschooler. And we never really think about them being actually more equipped to handle the situations if they've been brought up with their parents. Now, obviously, if you're hiding your kids in the basement, there's going to be some social problems. But if you are a typical homeschool family, joining co-ops, going to church, getting out in your community, doing community drives, getting you and your children involved, it is a whole nother ballgame. And honestly, it really does make a huge difference on how they learn to interact, their confidence level, them having a good tie to their nuclear family. Man, that could be a whole video on itself. Just having a good ties with your mom and your dad can set you up for so much confidence and so much success. That in itself is a whole video. But that's not this video. So let's go back to question 4. So this is the last question of the day, and it is, how do I create a daily homeschool schedule that works for my family? This is going to look drastically different for every person and depending on what your values are. So for example, we make a lot of our stuff from scratch. We make a lot of our bread products from scratch. We tend to do more from scratch cooking. And because of that, our homeschool schedule can look like when we get up in the morning, we do devotion. My kids start their power hour, which is normally them getting their chores done. I'm baking bread first thing in the morning and getting stuff set up or cooking oatmeal. Sometimes we sit down and have a big family breakfast. Sometimes we grab a muffin and go. This looks different. And then we sit down, after joint devotion, after power hour, we normally do some of our together subjects, which can look like health, elements of faith, geography, world story, or the weather book or whatever. And then from there, we break off into core subjects. Some days, this looks like us just doing core subjects. And some days, this looks like us doing a bunch of different readers together. Tomorrow, this is going to look like us taking a STEM after our power hour. And after we do health, I think we're going to break off and we're going to go to STEM at another person's house, and we were going to do science projects. So this homeschool schedule is going to be so individual. There are some people who only homeschool 4 days a week. There are some people who homeschool all 5 days a week. There are some people who do all math on Monday, and then they do all language arts on Tuesday, and then they do all geography on Wednesday. There are some people who do homeschool at night because the parents have to work during the day, so they don't start their homeschool until 3 p.m. There are people who homeschool Tuesday through Thursday or Tuesday through Friday, and then they have the rest of the time off. This is going to look so different for your family. The only thing that is required is whatever your state required. My state requires 9 consecutive months of us being in homeschool. Now, that's not a problem for us because we do year-round homeschool, but that is my only requirement from my state as far as time. Everything else is completely up to me and up to the needs of my children. So this will look so different from year to year and even month to month and sometimes season to season. So during the summer months when we're doing year-round homeschool, we might take a break in the early morning for my kids to get a good dose of sunshine before it gets too hot to play outside. Or in the winter, this could look like before the sun goes down, whether or not they're finished with homeschool or not, they go outside and play, and then they come back and finish their homework because I want them to get some outside time and I want them to get some exercise. But this by no means is like what you have to do, but it's just a jumping point of what I do so that you can see like, I like this, I don't like that. Ooh, I want to implement that, or no, that really wouldn't work for our family, which is fine because everyone is completely different. So with that being said, I hope I didn't bore you with statistics. Like I said, I'm going to put the websites that I looked up in the bio underneath so that you can have the opportunity to really look through the information yourself, make the judgment for yourself, and see what you think. All right, well, that's it. And I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.